Hi everyone, and welcome to Fluent English Journey. Thank you for being here, and don't forget to subscribe if you want daily English tips that help you speak more confidently. My name is Ava, and today we are going to talk about useful English sentences that you can use in everyday life. These sentences are simple, practical, and very natural. They will help you sound confident whether you are at a restaurant, at work, at a meeting, or even just chatting with friends. Many people learn vocabulary and grammar, but still struggle to sound natural. The truth is, small sentences and polite expressions can make your conversations smoother, friendlier, and more enjoyable. Today, I will show you sentences that even advanced learners sometimes forget to use. If you practice them every day, your English will sound more real, more natural, and more professional. 1. Better ways to start a social conversation. Instead of only saying hello or hi, you can use warmer sentences that show interest. For example, "It's really great to see you again. I've been looking forward to catching up with you. How has your week been so far? Has anything interesting happened recently?" These sentences make people feel comfortable. They show that you care and that you genuinely want to talk. You can also compliment people in a simple but natural way. "I noticed the work you did on that project. It was very impressive and well organized. You did a great job with your presentation. I really liked it." These small comments make conversations friendly and positive. 2. Expressing your opinion politely. Sometimes we need to agree, disagree, or share a different idea. Instead of saying, "I think that's wrong," you can say, "Heavy check mark, I see your point, but maybe we can look at it from another perspective." Heavy check mark, I understand your argument, but I have a slightly different view based on my experience. These sentences show respect and make you sound thoughtful, professional, and calm. They are perfect for meetings, group discussions, and polite conversations. To show agreement or interest, you can say, "That's a great idea. I completely agree with your point. That makes sense. I hadn't thought about it that way before." These expressions help you connect better with people. 3. Asking questions politely. Sometimes you want more information. Instead of bluntly saying, "What?" or "I don't get it," you can say, "Could you explain that a little more? I want to make sure I understand. I'm not sure I follow. Can you give me an example?" These sentences are polite and professional. They help continue the conversation smoothly in person, on the phone, in online meetings, or in emails. 4. Expressing emotions naturally. Many learners say, "I am happy. I am sad." But natural English uses more expressive sentences. For example, when you are happy, "I'm really excited about this opportunity. It feels great to see everything coming together. I'm genuinely thrilled about what we discussed today." When you feel disappointed or frustrated, but want to stay polite, "I have to admit, I feel a bit let down because I expected a different outcome. I understand why this happened, but I think we can find a better solution. I think the idea is good, but maybe we can improve it a little to meet our goals better." These sentences express emotions clearly without sounding rude. 5. Improving your communication style. You can also soften criticism by adding context. "I understand your point, and I see why it happened. Maybe we can try a different approach next time." This makes you sound helpful, calm, and professional. People will find it easy to talk with you. 6. Practice every day. The best way to learn these sentences is by practicing regularly. Say them to friends, family, or coworkers. Write them in your notebook. Practice speaking them aloud. Record your voice and listen to how you sound. The more you practice, the more natural and confident you will feel. Practicing these sentences every day helps you remember them and use them naturally in real conversations. The most important things for confident English speaking are practice and patience. Step by step, you will become more comfortable expressing ideas, asking questions, giving opinions, and sharing emotions. When you use polite and natural sentences, you sound more confident, friendly, and professional in every situation. To improve quickly, try to practice a little every day. Listen to English conversations, read simple English texts, and speak out loud even if you are alone. Over time, your English will become more fluent, clear, and natural. You will feel comfortable talking to anyone, anywhere. Useful English sentences for everyday life. Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to learn practical English sentences that you can use every day. These sentences help you give advice, make plans, share stories, and express ideas in a polite, natural, and confident way. 1. Giving advice and suggestions politely. Instead of saying do this or you should do that, you can use softer and more polite sentences. One approach that might work well is trying this method. It has helped others in similar situations. I would suggest considering this option because it might help you reach your goals more easily. You can also show respect for the other person's ideas. I see where you're coming from, and one thing that could complement your plan is, your idea is good, and we might also try this approach to make it even better. These sentences are perfect for team meetings, mentoring, discussions, and friendly advice. They make your English sound professional and polite instead of direct or rude. 2. Making plans and organizing schedules. Instead of saying, let's meet tomorrow, you can sound more polite by using, would it be convenient for you if we scheduled a meeting tomorrow morning? I'm available on Wednesday afternoon if that works for your schedule. Otherwise, we can find another time that suits both of us. When confirming plans, being clear helps avoid confusion. Just to confirm, we're meeting at the cafe near the park at 3 p.m., right? We're meeting at your office at 10 a.m., correct? Using these sentences shows you are organized, respectful, and thoughtful. 3. Telling stories and sharing past experiences. Instead of simply saying, I went to the concert, try adding details to make your story interesting. Last weekend, I went to a concert with my friends. The music was amazing and we had a great time. Yesterday, I tried a new restaurant. The food was delicious and the staff were very friendly. Adding details about time, place, feelings, and experiences makes your story more attractive and helps listeners connect with you. You can also express opinions politely when telling a story. I really enjoyed the concert, but I think the second band could have played longer. The restaurant was great. In my opinion, they could improve the dessert menu, but everything else was excellent. These sentences show that you are thoughtful and polite. 4. Using descriptive language. Descriptive words make your English sound vivid and expressive. For example, last weekend, I attended a concert that was even better than I expected. The performers were talented, and the audience was full of energy. I visited a new art exhibition, and I was amazed by how the artist used colors and textures. The artwork felt alive. These details make your English more interesting in both social and professional conversations. For example, instead of saying, crossmark, I saw a play, you can say, heavy checkmark, I saw a play last night. The story was moving and the actors performed beautifully. Heavy checkmark, I really enjoyed the creative use of lighting and sound. This shows that you are observant and expressive, and it makes your English sound more natural. 5. Expressing opinions politely. In discussions or professional meetings, being polite is important. Instead of saying, crossmark, I disagree, you can say, heavy checkmark, I see your perspective, and I have a slightly different view based on my experience. This sentence is soft, respectful, and professional. Daily practice tips. To improve your English step by step. Give advice politely using phrases like, I would suggest. Make plans clearly and confirm details politely. Tell stories with details about time, place, and feelings. Express opinions politely to sound confident and respectful. If you practice speaking, listening, reading, and writing every day, even for just a few minutes, your English will become clearer, more fluent, and easier to understand. Little by little, you will sound natural, confident, and professional in any conversation, whether at work, with friends, or in social situations. Sometimes in conversations, it is helpful to add your ideas in a polite and respectful way. Instead of being direct or sounding too strong, you can use sentences that show cooperation and understanding. For example, you can say, "That is an interesting point. I would like to add another angle that might complement your argument." This shows that you respect the other person's idea while contributing your own. You can also say, "I understand your reasoning, and I think combining our ideas could lead to an even stronger outcome." These types of sentences help you sound thoughtful, polite, and confident. Using polite language is especially useful in meetings, group projects, presentations, or casual professional conversations. It makes communication smoother and helps you share your opinion without offending anyone. People will see you as someone who listens carefully and speaks respectfully. Handling misunderstandings calmly. Misunderstandings can happen in any conversation, and knowing how to respond politely is very important. Instead of saying "you are wrong," which can sound rude and make people defensive, you can use gentler sentences like, "I think there might have been a misunderstanding. Could we review the details together to make sure we're on the same page? I might have missed something. Can you explain it again so I understand better?" It seems there is a small difference in how we see this. Let's clarify it so we can move forward. These sentences help calm the situation. They show that you want to find a solution together, not argue. They also make you sound polite, intelligent, and focused on solving the problem. You can also acknowledge someone's feelings during a conflict. For example, "I understand why this issue is important to you, and I want to make sure we address it carefully before deciding." This type of response makes people feel respected and heard, which improves teamwork and strengthens relationships. Describing feelings naturally. Another great way to improve your English is by expressing emotions clearly. Instead of using simple sentences like, "I am happy" or "I am sad," you can use more descriptive language. "I am really excited about this opportunity. I feel like everything is coming together nicely. I feel very pleased with the results and I'm looking forward to the next steps. I am a bit disappointed with this outcome, but I hope we can find a better solution next time." These types of sentences express your emotions politely and naturally. They make your conversations richer and help listeners understand your exact feelings. Giving advice politely. When you want to give advice, it is important to sound helpful, not bossy. Instead of saying, "Do this," you can try. One approach that might work well is trying this method. It has helped others in similar situations. I would suggest considering this option because it might help achieve your goals more efficiently. I see your plan, and one thing that could complement it is, polite advice shows that you are respectful and supportive. This is useful in teamwork, mentoring, leadership, and even friendly conversations. Asking for help politely. Asking for help can sound rude if the sentence is too direct. Instead of saying, "Help me," you can say, "Would you mind assisting me with this task? I would really appreciate your guidance. If you have a moment, I'd be grateful if you could give some feedback on this project. I'm working on a tight deadline and your input would be very helpful." These polite requests make people feel respected and more willing to help. Adding a reason, such as mentioning a deadline, makes your request clearer without sounding demanding. Talking about future plans clearly. When discussing future tasks, goals, or commitments, try to be clear and organized. Instead of saying, "I will do it," you can say, "I am planning to complete this by Thursday and will make sure all the necessary steps are done beforehand. I intend to finalize the report today so we can move to the next phase without delays. My goal is to finish this project by the end of the week, and I will double-check everything before submission." These sentences show that you are reliable and professional. They make your English sound more natural, responsible, and confident. Polite language for scheduling and confirming plans. Using polite language when arranging meetings helps avoid confusion. For example, would it be convenient for you if we met tomorrow morning? I want to make sure it fits your schedule. I am available Wednesday afternoon. If that works for you, we can meet then. Otherwise, we can find another time. Just to confirm, we are meeting at the cafe near the park at 3 p.m., correct? These phrases help you communicate clearly and professionally, and they prevent misunderstandings. When you use clear and polite English every day, you can communicate more confidently and more effectively. People will see you as someone who is thoughtful, reliable, and professional. These communication skills are helpful everywhere, at work, in school, at social gatherings, or even in casual conversations. They also make your English sound more natural, smooth, and easy to understand. When you talk about the future or make plans, it is important to give complete information instead of using short, unclear sentences. For example, instead of simply saying, "I will do it," you can say, "If everything goes according to plan, I will be able to present the proposal at the upcoming meeting." This longer sentence is more helpful because it explains your intention and gives context. People will understand exactly what you mean, and they will see you as someone who is organized and dependable. Another important part of daily English is expressing your preferences, what you like, what you choose, and why. Many people use very short sentences, but advanced learners can make their sentences sound more natural by adding reasons or details. Instead of saying, "I like coffee," you can say something like, "I usually prefer a strong espresso in the morning because it helps me focus and gives me energy for the day." In the evening, you might add, "I tend to enjoy herbal tea at night because it helps me relax after a long day." These kinds of sentences sound more polite, more natural, and more interesting. When you need to choose between two options, you can also use polite and thoughtful expressions. For example, you can say, "Given the two alternatives, I would lean toward the first one because it fits better with our long-term goals." Or you can say, "Considering the situation, I think the second option might be more practical and efficient for everyone involved." These expressions are very helpful in work meetings, team discussions, or even friendly conversations. They help you share your opinion clearly but politely, without sounding rude or direct. Daily conversations often include unexpected situations or surprises. In these moments, using professional and polite language can help you stay calm. Instead of saying, "I am surprised," you can say, "I did not anticipate this situation, but I am confident we can handle it together." If you need time to think, you can say, "This development is unexpected, and I would like to take a moment to consider the best way to move forward." When someone interrupts you, you can reply politely, "I appreciate your input, and I will add your suggestions as soon as possible." Or, "Thank you for bringing this up. I think it is important to address it before we continue." These sentences show that you are respectful, attentive, and professional. Another helpful skill is connecting your ideas smoothly. Instead of giving short, separate answers, try linking your sentences. For example, you can say, "I enjoy reading books in the evening because it helps me relax." At the same time, "I like listening to personal development podcasts to learn something new." You could also add, "I prefer working in the morning because I have more energy. However, if necessary, I can adjust my schedule to meet deadlines." These connected sentences make your English sound more fluent and natural, and they help people understand your thoughts more clearly. Advanced English is not only about vocabulary, it also includes politeness, flexibility, and emotional intelligence. By using sentences that explain your choices, give context, or handle surprises calmly, you will sound more professional and more confident. Whether you are talking in an office, a classroom, a social event, or an online meeting, these skills will help you communicate clearly in any situation. With regular practice, they will become natural and automatic. Another important skill for advanced English learners is building good relationships and strong social connections. Simple greetings like hello or hi are polite, but sometimes they are not enough in professional or friendly conversations. You can make your greetings longer and more meaningful. For example, you can say, "It has been a while since we last talked. I'm curious to hear what you've been working on lately." Or you can say, "I always enjoy our conversations because they give me new ideas and perspectives." These sentences show friendliness, confidence, and interest. Giving compliments and acknowledging others is also important for building positive relationships. You can say, "I noticed how well you managed the last project. I was impressed by how smoothly everything went." Or, "Your recent presentation was very clear and insightful. You explained the difficult topics in a very simple and understandable way." These sentences show appreciation and help you communicate respectfully and professionally. When you talk about your opinions, trends, news, or cultural topics, you can also make your sentences more interesting by explaining why you feel a certain way. Instead of saying, "I like the news," you can explain your reason to create a deeper and more engaging conversation. When you talk about news, trends, or current events, it is helpful to explain why you find something interesting. For example, you could say, "I found the recent developments in renewable energy very promising because they show that more countries are using sustainable practices." You can also share personal reflections such as, "I read an article about city architecture, and it made me think about how design affects our daily lives." These kinds of sentences are useful in meetings, conversations, and friendly discussions because they show your thinking, fluency, and ability to express ideas clearly. Adding context and reasons makes your English stronger, more natural, and more persuasive. Advanced English speakers also need to handle phone calls and emails politely. Short phrases like "call me later" can sound too direct or even rude. Instead, you can say, "Could we schedule a call later today to discuss this in detail? I want to make sure we cover everything clearly." You can also say, "If you have time this afternoon, I would like to review the project and talk through the details." These sentences show that you are respectful, professional, and well-organized. You can also explain the reason for your request so it sounds polite and meaningful. "I am working on a tight deadline, and your input would help me finish this efficiently." Or, "I want to make sure we do not miss any important points, so it would be helpful to discuss this carefully." Another important skill is expressing emotions in a natural and clear way. Instead of the very simple, "I am happy" or "I am sad," you can give more detail. "I am really excited about this project because it gives me a chance to learn new skills." Or, "I feel a little disappointed because the results were not what I expected, but I am hopeful that we can improve next time." These types of sentences show emotional intelligence. They help people understand your feelings better and make your communication sound polite, professional, and thoughtful. To sound fluent, you should also practice connecting your ideas rather than speaking in short, separate phrases. For example, you can say, "I enjoy reading books in the evening because it helps me relax. At the same time, I like listening to personal development podcasts to get new ideas." You might add, "I prefer working in the morning because I have more energy, but I can adjust my schedule if needed to meet important deadlines." These connected sentences help your English sound smoother, clearer, and more confident. They also show that you can express your thoughts in a natural, fluent way. When writing emails or messages for work, sounding polite and professional is important. Instead of writing short sentences like, "I will send more information," you can say, "I will follow up with you via email to provide additional information and clarify any remaining questions." You can begin politely by saying, "I hope this message finds you well. I would like to discuss the progress of the project when you have a moment." You can also add, "Please let me know if there is any additional information I can provide to assist with your decision." These sentences make your emails more polished and easier for the reader to understand. It is also useful to express agreement, gratitude, and encouragement in a more detailed and meaningful way. Short phrases like "good job" or "I agree" are polite, but longer sentences sound more professional and sincere. For example, you can say, "Your effort on this project is truly commendable, and it has made a significant impact on our results." Or, "I appreciate the dedication you put into this task." It shows your strong commitment. When agreeing with someone, you can say, "I completely agree with your assessment, and I believe your approach will lead to excellent results." You could also say, "I share your perspective, and I think combining our strategies could make the outcome even better." These sentences show confidence, warmth, and professionalism. Even in social events or casual gatherings, it is helpful to use natural and friendly sentences that go beyond simple greetings. Instead of just saying, "Hello," you can say, "It's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard great things about your work, and I'm excited to finally connect in person." You might also say, "I'm glad we could meet today. I always enjoy exchanging ideas with people who share similar interests." When making small talk, adding interesting details keeps the conversation alive. I recently discovered a fascinating book about behavioral psychology, and it made me think about how we interact in daily life. Or I read an article about urban gardening, and it gave me new ideas for my own garden. Sharing thoughts like these helps people respond and connect more easily. Even in casual situations, it is helpful for advanced English learners to use polite, clear, and descriptive sentences. When inviting someone or making plans, instead of saying, "Let's meet tomorrow," you can say, "Would you like to join us for coffee tomorrow afternoon? I thought it would be a good chance to discuss some ideas in a relaxed setting." You can also add, "If it is convenient for you, we could meet at the park near your office. Otherwise, we can choose a time that works best for you." These sentences are friendly, polite, and appropriate for colleagues, friends, or new acquaintances. By practicing polite greetings, giving compliments, expressing detailed opinions, making thoughtful requests, and connecting your sentences smoothly, your English will improve step by step. Your communication will sound natural, professional, and engaging. Over time, you will feel confident expressing yourself in any situation, whether at work, with friends, or in everyday conversations. Becoming confident and natural in English takes time, but daily practice with clear, polite, and descriptive sentences helps you improve little by little. Over time, these small improvements make a big difference in how people understand you and how comfortably you express yourself. When you use detailed sentences, your conversations become more interesting and memorable. For example, instead of saying, "I went to a restaurant," you can say, "I tried a new restaurant last weekend, and the experience was incredible, from the ambience to the food presentation." You could also share something like, "I visited a local art gallery, and the way the artists combined colors and shapes really caught my attention." These kinds of sentences help people imagine your experience and make your English sound more fluent and expressive. In everyday situations, it is also important to follow instructions clearly and explain them well to others. Instead of saying, "Follow the rules," you can say, "Please make sure to follow the guidelines provided so that we maintain consistency and efficiency across the team." When giving instructions, you can explain each step. First, I recommend reviewing all the materials carefully. Then create a step-by-step plan before starting the task. If you face any difficulties, please reach out immediately so we can address them promptly and avoid delays. These sentences are useful at work, in school, or even at home because they are polite, clear, and professional. Advanced English is also very helpful in negotiation and persuasion, where being confident, polite, and clear matters a lot. Instead of saying, "I want this," you can say, "I understand your position, and I would like to explore a compromise that could benefit both of us." You might add, "Considering our objectives, I believe we could adjust the plan slightly to meet everyone's expectations more effectively. When presenting data or arguments, you can use sentences like, if we look at the data from the last quarter, it seems clear that adopting this approach could lead to better results. Or, based on our previous experiences, I am confident that this strategy will improve efficiency while maintaining quality. These sentences help you sound professional and persuasive without sounding aggressive. You can also use detailed sentences to talk about experiences, feelings, and opinions. For example, I felt really inspired by the seminar yesterday. The speaker explained the ideas in a way that made them easy to understand and apply. Or, I was impressed by how the team worked together to solve the problem quickly and creatively. These sentences provide more context and show that you are paying attention. They work well in meetings, social events, and casual conversations. Daily English also involves asking for help and clarifying information politely. Instead of saying, I don't understand, you can say, could you please explain that a little more? I want to make sure I fully understand your point. Another option is, I'm not sure I follow completely. Would you mind giving an example? These sentences show that you are attentive, respectful, and willing to learn, which makes communication smoother. Planning and organizing are also important skills. Instead of saying, let's meet tomorrow, you can say, would it be convenient for you if we scheduled a meeting tomorrow morning? I want to make sure it fits your timetable. You might add, I am available Wednesday afternoon if that works for you. Otherwise, we can find another time that suits both of us. Using polite, clear sentences like these helps you organize plans in a respectful and professional way. Another important advanced skill is explaining processes or instructions step by step. Instead of saying, do it like this, you can say, the first step is to gather all the relevant information. Then we should organize it into categories before moving forward with the implementation. You can add, it is important to review each part carefully to ensure accuracy. After that, we can proceed to the next phase with confidence. When explaining more complex ideas, you might say, to simplify the process, we can break it down into smaller tasks and assign responsibilities based on each team member's expertise. By following these steps one by one, we can avoid confusion and complete the project more efficiently. These kinds of sentences make your English precise, professional, and easy to follow. Talking about hypothetical situations is another useful skill. Instead of saying, maybe it will happen, you can say, if the conditions remain favorable, there is a strong possibility that we will achieve our target by the end of the month. This type of sentence sounds more advanced and more confident. With regular practice, using these polite, clear, detailed, and connected sentences will help you speak and write in a way that is natural, confident, and professional in any situation, whether you are at work, at school, with friends, or meeting new people. If we make the changes correctly, we will probably see a big improvement in our results. In everyday conversations, you can also use sentences that talk about imaginary or possible situations. For example, you can say, if I were in your position, I would think about every possible outcome before deciding. Phrases like this show careful thinking and help you sound thoughtful and polite. You can also use these types of sentences when imagining new ideas. For example, imagine if we tried this method. It might completely change how we solve similar problems in the future. These sentences show that you are considering different options, which is useful in both professional and social situations. Storytelling is another important skill in English. Instead of only saying, I went on a trip, you can add details to make the story more interesting. For example, last month I traveled to a small coastal town. I enjoyed the local food, the beautiful ocean views, and the unique culture. It was an experience I will never forget. You can also talk about learning experiences. For example, I recently joined a photography workshop. The techniques I learned helped me see ordinary things in a completely new way. Adding descriptions and personal reflections makes your stories more engaging and memorable. This technique works not only in friendly conversations, but also in school or work presentations. Talking about feelings can also be more natural when you use detailed sentences. Instead of only saying, I am happy, you can say, I felt really excited when I finished the project because all my hard work finally paid off. You can also express surprise politely by saying, I was pleasantly surprised by the feedback I received. It motivated me to keep improving. When you feel disappointed or face challenges, you can also express it naturally. For example, I felt a little disappointed because the result was not what I expected, but I am thinking about ways to do better next time. Or, the situation was difficult, but it helped me learn new skills and grow. Using sentences like these makes your English sound more thoughtful, natural, and professional. Another important skill is giving suggestions or recommendations. Instead of saying, do this, you can say something more polite like, one approach that might work well is trying this method. It has helped in similar situations. You can also say, I recommend considering this option because it may offer a more practical solution. When suggesting alternatives, you can say, we could also explore another strategy that supports the current plan and increases efficiency, or another option worth considering is adding this new technique to improve results and reduce risks. These sentences are polite, professional, and useful in both work and casual conversations. Daily English also includes expressing feelings about success, progress, or teamwork. Instead of simply saying, I am proud, you can say, I feel incredibly proud of the team for completing this difficult task. It shows our hard work and teamwork, or, I am truly happy with the progress I have made over the past months. It shows my dedication and growth. When appreciating others, you can say, your contribution to this project was amazing and made a real difference, or I really appreciate your effort. It helped the team reach our goals more smoothly. These expressions show kindness and help build better relationships. Another advanced skill is discussing ideas politely. For example, instead of saying, we should do it this way, you can say, I understand your point, and one possible method we could try that supports your idea is this approach. This makes you sound respectful and professional. You can also say, considering our goals, another way to manage this task might be more practical and efficient for everyone. These styles of speaking show confidence without sounding too direct or forceful. Finally, when you combine all these skills, storytelling, reflections, giving suggestions, and expressing emotions, you make your English sound fluent and engaging. Practicing these techniques every day will help you communicate more clearly, confidently, and naturally in any situation, whether you are in a meeting, talking with friends, or having a casual conversation. Recognizing and appreciating others is also an important part of daily English. Instead of only saying, good job, you can say, I want to acknowledge your hard work and creativity. It inspired the whole team. Or, I am grateful for your dedication. It helped us achieve better results. These kinds of sentences show respect, build strong connections, and make your English warm and thoughtful. These sentences help you express your feelings in a natural way and make your conversations more meaningful. Sometimes, we also need to share doubts or concerns politely. Instead of simply saying, I am not sure, you can say, I have some concerns about this plan, and I would like to discuss other options before moving forward. This sounds more thoughtful and professional. You can also say, I am worried we might face difficulties if we continue without checking all the details carefully. Another polite option is, I understand why this decision was made, but I think it is helpful to think about possible risks and prepare solutions in advance. These kinds of sentences show that you think carefully and take responsibility for your ideas. Making comparisons and giving evaluations is also an important skill. Instead of only saying, this is better, you can say, after comparing both options, I think the first one is more efficient and fits our long-term goals. This sounds clearer and more professional. You can also say, based on what we have reviewed, the second method seems more sustainable and cost-effective. When giving feedback, you can say, both ideas have good points and combining some parts from each could create a stronger plan. Or, according to our criteria, this approach meets our standards more effectively. These expressions help you communicate your thoughts clearly and intelligently. Talking about trends and observations can also make your English sound advanced. Instead of saying, people do this, you can say, I have noticed that many people prefer online tools because they are quick and easy to access. Or, it seems that more people are learning new skills online, which shows how technology is changing the way we study and work. These sentences help you explain ideas in detail and show confidence in your communication. Discussing solutions and giving advice politely is another important skill. Instead of saying, do this, you can say, one way to approach this problem is to try this method. It has worked well in similar situations. Or, I recommend considering this option because it might give better results and be easier to manage. Another helpful phrase is, we could explore another method that fits the current plan and makes the process more effective. These forms of advice sound professional, respectful, and suitable for school, work, or daily conversations. When talking about achievements or personal development, you can also make your sentences richer and more expressive. Instead of saying, I am proud, you can say, I feel really proud of the team for completing this difficult task together. Or, I am happy with the progress I have made over the past few months. When appreciating others, you can say, your contribution was excellent and made a big difference. Or, I really appreciate your creativity. It encouraged the whole team to do better. These sentences help you show emotions naturally and improve communication. Advanced English also includes expressing ideas clearly and logically. Instead of using short, simple statements, you can use fuller sentences that explain your thinking. For example, you can say, I understand the point you are making, but I think we could also try another method for better results. Or, I understand your plan, and I suggest we prepare a backup option to avoid possible problems. Sentences like these help you sound polite, professional, and intelligent. They are useful in work, social life, and any situation where clear communication is important. Talking about trends and patterns also helps you sound more analytical. Instead of saying, people do this, you can say, I noticed a growing trend in remote work, and it is interesting to see how companies are changing their culture and process to support this shift. Or, there seems to be more interest in sustainable products, which shows that people are becoming more responsible and environmentally aware. You can also say, from my observations, teams that communicate often perform better and solve problems faster. Another example is, it seems that people who balance creativity with organization achieve excellent results in their work. These sentences make your English sound thoughtful and engaging. Expressing urgency politely is another useful skill. Instead of saying, hurry up, you can say, it is important that we address this issue as soon as possible to prevent further problems. Or, I would appreciate it if we could focus on this task today, as it has a big impact on our progress. You can also say, considering our deadlines, it is essential to focus on the most important tasks first. Another option is, since our time is limited, we should use our resources carefully to finish everything on time. These sentences show urgency without sounding rude or impatient. Giving clear instructions is also important in both work and daily life. Instead of saying, do it this way, you can say, first, gather all the necessary materials and review the instructions carefully. Then you can add, follow each step slowly and carefully to avoid mistakes. Another helpful sentence is, it is important to check each step before moving to the next one, because it prevents errors and improves efficiency. You can also say, if you face any difficulties, pause and review the previous step to make sure everything is correct before continuing. These sentences make your instructions sound organized and professional. Expressing possibilities and giving polite advice is another skill advanced learners use. Instead of saying, maybe try this, you can say, one approach that could work well is trying this method. It has been successful for others in similar situations. Using sentences like these helps you speak more naturally, politely, and professionally in any situation. You can also give suggestions politely by saying something like, I recommend considering this option because it might give better results and be easier to manage. This sounds thoughtful and professional. You can also offer alternatives by saying, we could try another method that supports the current plan and improves efficiency. Another possibility is using this technique to get better results while keeping risks low. These types of sentences are polite, clear, and useful in work, school, or everyday conversations. Explaining processes clearly is another important part of advanced English. Instead of saying, do it like this, you can say, the first step is to collect all the information, then organize it before starting the task. You could also explain, to simplify the process, break it into smaller parts and assign responsibilities based on each person's strengths. Another helpful sentence is, by following these steps carefully, we can avoid confusion and complete the project efficiently. Using structured sentences like these makes your English sound intelligent and professional. When completing tasks, it is important to follow instructions with care. Instead of saying, do it like this, you can say, take each step slowly so you can notice possible mistakes and ask for help if needed. You might also say, by following these instructions carefully, you can complete the task successfully and confidently. These sentences are useful in work, school, and daily life because they make your instructions clear and easy to understand. Advanced English learners also need to know how to clarify misunderstandings politely. Instead of saying, you are wrong, you can say, I think there might be a misunderstanding. Can we go over the information together to make sure we are on the same page? You can also say, I want to fully understand your point. Could you explain a little more? Another polite sentence is, I see where the misunderstanding happened, and I think we can fix it by reviewing the details carefully. Or, it seems there is a small difference in our understanding, and I would like to address it before we continue. These sentences show respect, patience, and professionalism, making them useful for teamwork, meetings, and discussions. Another valuable skill is making polite interruptions during conversations. Instead of saying, wait, I want to talk, you can say, if I may add a point here, I think it supports what you are explaining. You can also say, I hope it's okay if I share something briefly. I have an idea that might help our discussion. Another polite phrase is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this information might be useful right now. Or, excuse me, I would like to clarify something before we continue. These expressions help you join conversations confidently without sounding rude or impatient. Expressing your preferences clearly is also important. Instead of saying, I like this better, you can say, considering the options, I would prioritize this approach because it seems more effective. You might also say, given the choices available, I think this option is more practical and likely to give better results. You could explain your thinking with sentences like, I prefer this method because it saves time and fits well with our goals. Or, this option seems best because it balances efficiency with quality. These sentences help you explain your choices logically and professionally. Advanced learners also express possibilities or recommendations in a polite and confident way. Instead of saying, maybe try this, you can say, one approach that could work well is this method. It has helped others in similar situations. Or, I recommend considering this option because it could give better results and be easier to manage. You can also suggest alternatives like, we could try another strategy that supports the current plan. Another helpful phrase is, another idea worth considering is using this technique to get better results while reducing risks. These sentences show professionalism, respect, and clear thinking. Giving step-by-step instructions clearly is another important skill. Instead of saying, do it like this, you can say, first, gather all the necessary materials. Next, review the instructions carefully, and then follow each step methodically. You can add, check each stage before moving to the next one to avoid mistakes and complete the task efficiently. Another useful sentence is, if you face difficulties, stop and review the previous step to make sure everything is correct before continuing. These sentences are helpful in work, school, and daily life because they make your communication organized and confident. When choosing between options, you should explain your preference clearly. Instead of saying, I like this, you can say, I prefer this approach because it fits better with our long-term goals and efficiency needs. Or, given the situation, I like this method because it is flexible and likely to give better results. You can also say, while both options have benefits, I lean toward the one that is more reliable and sustainable. Another example is, after reviewing all alternatives, this choice meets most of our important requirements. These sentences help you share your thoughts confidently and professionally. Describing processes naturally is another useful skill. Instead of saying, do it step by step, you can say, the process begins with gathering all necessary resources, then organizing the information, and finally completing each task carefully to make sure everything is correct. You can also say, it helps to divide the procedure into smaller sections, check progress at each stage, and make adjustments before finishing. Another helpful expression is, by completing each step carefully and checking for mistakes, you can maintain high quality and avoid problems. These types of sentences make your English clearer, more professional, and more effective in any situation. Following a structured approach ensures that nothing is missed and that processes run smoothly. Using sentences like this makes your English sound professional, clear, and organized. Advanced learners also need to express opinions with nuance and detail. Instead of simply saying, I think this is good, you can say, from my perspective, this approach is very effective, and I believe it will give excellent results if we do it carefully. Or, I find this strategy promising because it balances efficiency with creativity, which is very important in this situation. When expressing more complex opinions, you can say, I understand the other point of view, and I also think that combining elements from both ideas could make the outcome even stronger. These sentences help you sound thoughtful, intelligent, and polite. You can also explain advantages or reasons for your opinion in a professional way. Instead of saying, this is better, you can say, this method seems stronger because it saves time and resources while keeping quality high. Or, I prefer this approach because it is practical, reliable, and can handle future challenges well. Other examples include, considering all factors, this choice appears most suitable for long-term success, or, this option aligns best with our goals and ensures consistent results. Using sentences like these makes your communication logical, persuasive, and professional. Explaining processes and giving step-by-step instructions is also very useful. Instead of saying, do it like this, you can say, first, gather all materials, then organize them carefully and follow each step methodically. Or, check your work at each stage to make sure everything is correct before moving on. You can also add, if any difficulties arise, pause and review the previous step or ask for guidance before continuing. These sentences make your English organized and easy for others to follow. Expressing opinions thoughtfully and politely is another key skill. Instead of bluntly saying, this is right, you can say, I understand the other viewpoint, and I also think that combining ideas from both perspectives could create a stronger solution. Or, from my experience, this method seems effective, but there may also be benefits in considering alternative approaches. These ways of speaking make your English sound professional, respectful, and advanced. When expressing complex ideas or opinions, it is important to sound thoughtful and diplomatic. Instead of saying, "This is better," you can say, "Combining both perspectives could lead to a stronger outcome." Or, "While I see some challenges, I believe this method provides the best overall benefits." These sentences are useful in discussions, meetings, and collaborative projects. Using smooth transitions between ideas also makes your English sound fluent. Instead of just saying, "Next," or "Also," you can say, "Building on what we discussed earlier, I would like to add that this perspective could significantly impact our results." Or, "In addition to the points mentioned, it is worth considering how this approach affects our overall objectives." You can also say, "Furthermore, it is important to evaluate the potential outcomes before making final decisions," or, "Another aspect to consider is how this strategy could influence long-term performance." These phrases help your ideas flow naturally in both speaking and writing. Expressing emotions and reactions clearly is another skill advanced learners can develop. Instead of saying, "I am happy" or "I am surprised," you can say, "I feel genuinely delighted with the progress we have made." It reflects the effort and dedication of everyone involved. Or, "I was pleasantly surprised by the outcome, and it made me reconsider some of my earlier assumptions." You can also say, "This development is very encouraging and strengthens my confidence in the direction we are taking," or, "Although unexpected, this situation presents an interesting opportunity for growth and learning." Sentences like these express emotions naturally, thoughtfully, and professionally. Expressing gratitude meaningfully is also important. Instead of just saying, "Thank you," you can say, "I genuinely appreciate your help with this task." Expressing gratitude meaningfully is an important skill in advanced English. Instead of just saying, "Thank you," you can say, "I really appreciate your support. It helped me complete the project more efficiently and with better results." In social situations, you can say, "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I found our conversation very valuable and insightful." Or, "I truly appreciate your generosity and thoughtfulness. It made a lasting impression." These sentences sound sincere, professional, and natural, helping strengthen relationships and make your English more polished. Recognizing someone's efforts also communicates appreciation warmly and professionally. Instead of saying, "Good job," you can say, "Your contribution was outstanding and significantly improved the outcome," or, "I want to acknowledge your effort and creativity, which inspired the entire team," or, "Your dedication really made a difference and helped us achieve our goals." Using sentences like these shows respect, thoughtfulness, and professionalism. When reacting to news or suggestions, polite and precise expressions make your English more engaging. Instead of simply saying, "That's interesting," you can say, "This is an insightful perspective, and it gives me a new way to look at the situation," or, "I find this information very useful, and it will help me plan my next steps more effectively." These sentences show that you are attentive, reflective, and thoughtful in conversation. Handling sensitive topics with care and diplomacy is also important. Instead of bluntly saying, "You are wrong," you can say, "I understand your perspective and would like to share some additional information that might offer another viewpoint," or, "I see the point you're making, and I hope we can discuss alternative considerations without dismissing your opinion." You can also say, "I want to ensure our discussion remains respectful and productive," or, "It's important to approach this matter carefully, and I believe we can find a solution that works for everyone involved." Using sentences like these maintains professionalism, reduces misunderstandings, and keeps discussions constructive, even in difficult situations. Giving thoughtful compliments and acknowledging achievements is another area where advanced learners can excel. Instead of saying, "Good job," you can say, "Your presentation was extremely well prepared and clearly communicated the key points. It reflected deep understanding and dedication," or, "I admire the way you handled the meeting. Your approach was thoughtful and very effective in engaging everyone." You might also say, "I am impressed by the creativity you demonstrated in solving this problem," or, "Your dedication to this project really made a difference and inspired the team." These sentences show respect, professionalism, and genuine appreciation. Encouraging collaboration and positive engagement is another advanced skill. Instead of saying, "You should do it this way," you can say, "One approach that might be effective is trying this method. It has worked well in similar situations," or, "I would recommend considering this option, as it could provide a more sustainable solution for our current challenges." When suggesting alternatives, you can say, "We could explore another strategy that complements the current plan and improves overall efficiency," or, "Another possibility worth considering is integrating this new technique to achieve better results while reducing risks." These sentences sound professional, polite, and persuasive. When giving feedback or raising concerns, it is important to be clear without sounding critical. Instead of saying, "I am not sure," you can say, "I have some reservations about this approach and would like to discuss possible alternatives before moving forward," or, "I am concerned that we might encounter challenges if we implement this plan without reviewing all the details." You can also say, "I understand the reasoning behind this decision, but I think it would be helpful to consider potential risks and prepare contingency plans," or, "I want to ensure we address all possible issues before finalizing this, as it will help prevent problems later." Sentences like these show careful reasoning, responsibility, and professionalism. By practicing these strategies, expressing gratitude sincerely, recognizing contributions, handling sensitive topics diplomatically, giving thoughtful feedback, and encouraging collaboration, you will communicate naturally, professionally, and confidently in any situation. By handling sensitive topics diplomatically, giving meaningful compliments, and raising concerns politely, advanced learners can communicate more confidently, thoughtfully, and effectively in any context. Instead of relying on short or simple phrases, using full, well-structured sentences makes your English sound natural, persuasive, and polished, improving everyday conversations, professional discussions, and social interactions. When praising someone's work or ideas, it is important to express admiration thoughtfully. Instead of saying, "This problem," you can say, "Your approach to this problem demonstrates excellent critical thinking," or, "The thoroughness of your work exceeded expectations and positively influenced the whole team." These sentences show respect and recognition naturally and can be used in professional, academic, and social situations. Negotiating timelines and deadlines politely is another key skill in advanced English. Instead of saying, "I need this done now," you could say, "Considering the scope of the project, it would be helpful if we could set a realistic timeline that ensures quality results," or, "I understand the urgency and would like to propose a schedule that balances efficiency with careful work." You can also say, "If we adjust the timeline slightly, we can address all critical elements without compromising quality," or, "I suggest we prioritize the most important tasks first so that we meet key milestones on time." These sentences make your English sound professional, practical, and considerate while helping teams work efficiently. Expressing conditional scenarios and possibilities is another advanced skill that makes communication thoughtful and precise. Instead of saying, "Maybe it will work," you can say, "If we implement these changes carefully, there is a strong chance we will achieve the desired outcome," or, "Assuming we allocate resources effectively, it is likely that the project will progress smoothly and meet expectations." For hypothetical situations, you might say, "If circumstances were slightly different, we might consider an alternative strategy that could yield better results," or, should unexpected challenges arise. We have contingency plans to handle them efficiently. Using sentences like these helps you sound analytical, confident, and professional. Storytelling is another area where advanced learners can improve communication. Instead of saying, "Then I went there," you could say, "Following that experience, I encountered a situation that completely changed my perspective," or "After that event, I realized the importance of preparation and adaptability in unexpected circumstances." Smooth transitions keep your storytelling engaging and help your listener follow your experiences more easily. You can link ideas with sentences like, "Building on what I learned from this project, I applied the same approach to a new challenge," or, "As a result of that experience, I developed a more efficient method for completing similar tasks." These techniques make your English fluent, coherent, and enjoyable for others to listen to. Advanced learners also benefit from giving feedback or suggestions politely and constructively. Instead of saying, "Do it this way," you can say, "One method that might be effective is trying this approach, as it has worked well in similar situations," or "I would recommend considering this option because it could offer a more sustainable solution for the challenges we face." When offering alternatives, you could say, "We might also explore another strategy that complements the current plan and improves overall results," or "Another option worth considering is integrating this technique to achieve better outcomes while reducing risks." These sentences make your suggestions professional, persuasive, and easy for others to accept. By combining skills like polite negotiation, conditional reasoning, smooth storytelling, and thoughtful feedback, advanced learners can communicate with clarity, confidence, and professionalism instead of relying on short or abrupt phrases. Using full, well-structured sentences allows your English to sound natural, engaging, and polished. These techniques are useful in meetings, social conversations, collaborative projects, and even casual discussions, helping you express your ideas clearly while showing respect, thoughtfulness, and sophistication.